love to dialogue about. Um, and these might be like questions that I would otherwise like if I was doing this as a class, you all would answer these questions as like part of an assignment or part of a like a dialogue or a group discussion. So um, culture, I see it as this thing that we grow, right? And to give you a more relevant example now, like I grow mushrooms as a side business because it's one of the ways that I can produce enough food at scale that allows me to actually drive health outcomes as well as like make enough money to be worth doing. Whereas like I couldn't possibly grow enough carrots in my lifetime to fund my future off carrots, right? Like plus the amount of land it would take and all these other things. So, um, and I'm grounding back into fungus and mushrooms is if I don't feed that culture of fungi what it needs to produce mushrooms, I don't get the fruit of it that I want. And it's the same way with our lives. It's the same way with our communities. So when we look at neighborhoods that, have crime, why is it that that crime occurs? Oftentimes it's economic like scarcity. Oftentimes it's economic disinvestment. Like if people have access to good paying jobs and institutions that are meaningful, they don't really need to sell drugs or they don't really need to rob people. So like this is kind of how I grew up thinking about these things and how these conditions that were normalized around me have sort of driven me into my career. Um, to tell you a little bit about that before I go on and keep all these concepts like vague. I'm the director of sustainability at a local nonprofit here in Sacramento called the Sierra Service Project. Sierra Service Project was established 50 years ago as a way to connect volunteers with impactful service projects. So a lot of what that was doing home repairs in indigenous communities, high impact projects like replacing and fixing people's roofs, or building a ramp for somebody with mobility constraints who can't get up their stairs. Oftentimes other things like building woodsheds and lots of stuff like that. So and for people who are extremely like vulnerable and extremely impoverished, um, I started working for SSP about 3 years ago, and the the thing that I built the program that I run now on was not only this like legacy of service, but also this like scaffolding of home repair. And one of the first projects I did for SSP was write a grant that eventually got funded that allowed me to create a jobs program called the Sacramento Sustainability Academy. So I actually like hire people to do work that other people might volunteer to be a part of and get experience from. Like that's how I got a lot of experience was just like volunteering and doing a lot of things like this. So I don't ever want to discourage you from volunteering and doing projects that are meaningful in your community, but I also have a challenge to myself to figure out ways to make that more sustainable by paying people to do the work. That's the only way it's sustainable for the most vulnerable people in our community because a lot of folks don't have the luxury of volunteering to go do something when they've got a family to feed or they've got like scarce situations to deal with. So I know it's kind of a lot. Sorry. I'm just kind of trying to knock through it. So I created this jobs program and the things I advocate for are paying people more, getting them professional licenses and certifications. And this program was built around two core concepts. One of them is like changing our portfolio of services that we do around home repair to also include like energy efficiency improvements with like weatherization being like the project outcome to so that we can save people money on their electricity bills, and also improve health factors because like gas appliances also happen to be one of the greatest risk vectors inside a home. And then the other side of it was around urban agriculture and food sovereignty. And food sovereignty is just another concept that's built on this other concept of like food deserts and food security. Has anybody here ever heard the term food desert before? Anybody want to try to take a guess what it means? Work with me.
What to sorry, when access to like fruit or like fresh food is scarce around the area.
Yeah, that's like the textbook definition. And if you look at like the demographics of any neighborhood that's probably historically people of color or historically an impoverished community, almost every single one of them are going to also qualify as a food desert. So lack of fresh fruits and vegetables available, lack of, grocery stores within a reasonable walking distance, probably also an abundance of like fast food or liquor stores and things like that, which have a direct impact on the health outcomes and health risks of the populations in those neighborhoods. So that was a big reason why I've focused on food, because also in the neighborhood I grew up in, there's also an abundance of vacant lots. So it's not as if there isn't potential to attract investment, to create value that can be reinvested into the community rather than putting all of our resources into companies and industry or businesses that are not vested in our well-being and are just going to extract the value out. So like that's my mission, is how do we create economic systems that are going to create value in our neighborhoods that can be reinvested into the people in our neighborhoods rather than extracting the value out of our community to, make some other folks somewhere else even wealthier, right? So like that's kind of what I do. Um, and that's how this program kind of runs. So like we actually hire people to work at community gardens rather than trying to make those programs reliant on volunteers. We also host a lot of volunteer service events because there's like a massive amount of work that doesn't get done if we don't have a massive turnout of people. So that was the other thing that I was going to pitch to all of you, is that like if you're in need of internships or service hours, by all means, like Atlas has my contact info. You can get it from them, and I would love to like help set you all up with some ways to address those opportunities, right? Like a lot of folks talked about transportation, right? Like as much as I'd want to be like, oh, we could, I know a community bike shop where you could get a bike, but that doesn't address the fact that most of the streets that you would be riding on are probably unsafe for bikes. Um, there was also a lot of talk about like recycling, trash, waste stream, biodegradable utensils. One of the internships I did at UC Santa Cruz was with their um, recycling program. So I was just like a trash man for like 6 or 8 months, and I'd go pick up all the recycling and we'd take it to the dumps. And inevitably, it was like giant, giant bins that were just full of like plastic bottles. Um, Oh man, this takes me back. So one of the things that I would think about a lot there was like my intro to environmental issues was a book that I found in that some college professor was giving away, and it was an anthology on environmental debates. And it gave me this really interesting juxtaposition of a lot of different environmental issues, and one of them was about the waste stream, right? And one of the things that one side was arguing was like, we just don't have good culture that makes our waste stream problems less severe. Like, for example, if a plastic water bottle is put into a landfill and it has the lid put on still on it, there's a
Is Max frozen for everyone else? Okay. Um, oh, he's disappeared. Um, I'm gonna call him really quickly and see if his laptop died or something. Um, but there were a few folks that shared their ideas in the chat. So for the opening question, if anyone else wants to share sustainable practices that they feel are missing in their communities, please feel free to add in the chat. Okay, while we're waiting for Max to rejoin, because I worked with the Sierra Service Project, I can also talk about the programs. Initially, I was a fellow for the Urban Agriculture and Food Sovereignty Program, and I was later promoted to being the Environmental Justice Program Manager. So I went from being a participant in that program to running that program and creating curriculums for it. And that's the job I had last before I started working for Cal Center. Um, so something that's really cool about it is that it's programs specifically for young people so that they can be equipped with the skills to sort of uplift their communities. So there are, oh, Max is back. I just
Yeah,
started talking
sorry.
about some of the programs.
It's all good. Sorry, y'all. I didn't realize my laptop was connected to my phone hotspot instead of the Wi-Fi. I think I'll wrap it up with like cradle to cradle design, and we can answer more questions about like the programs and stuff. But it's this really cool concept. It's like a biomimicry concept of there is no waste, like, or to frame it precisely, like with fungus, right? The thing that would be the detritus or the waste or the decay debris material off of plants then becomes the food for a fungus that later will go to reproduce this mushroom that then later is going to become food for people. Then our waste then becomes food for, the plants, and so the cycle goes. So it's the same thing with like engineering and like our industry, but we've essentially incentivized all these companies to create a huge waste stream without having any incentives around reducing it. So, um, yeah, I think I'll just wrap it there in case anybody has any questions or dialogue. I really didn't plan to talk this long. I just kind of went on because there were so many incredible things that you all mentioned about lacking from your community. So I just kind of like freestyle. Oh, let me get to the pictures of Atlas.
I do want to, I started sharing about like specific programs at SSP,
Mhm.
and I can definitely speak to that. I used to table for SSP, so my whole part of my job was telling people all the stuff that they did. So I can speak to that. Otherwise, if you would talk more about like Sacramento Sustainability Academy or potentially the summer program, I think that would be really valuable for folks looking to get more experience.
Yeah, so the Sacramento Sustainability Academy, it's a jobs program that we offer. Currently, we have three different cohorts. There's the urban agriculture and food sovereignty program. We've also got like a building science and construction program. And then the last one we have is around design, manufacturing, and entrepreneurship. And a huge part of why that's like important to me is because this like cradle to cradle design concept. And how do we start addressing these things about like our waste stream, or the more we have become technology reliant, how do we develop like balanced ways to create electricity so that we could harness those systems for our society. So we talk a lot about infrastructure, and our programs built on this format of like education, training, and project experience. So um, we also have a really big summer program that we do every year that's been going for 50 years. I think this year we're going to have a site in Crescent City, which is in the far north of California in Del Norte County, kind of right by the border of Oregon, right near the Redwoods. And then I think we're going to be going back to Navajo Nation in Arizona. Um, if folks are interested in like doing some volunteer service or doing some home repair projects, a huge part of what we do is like put tools in people's hands and help them learn how to do things. So I can share more about some of these like specific pictures. Like the one on the left of the screen here is us working with a high school, and we help them construct a greenhouse. The one on the right is one of our program fellows learning how to solder before we got into like electronics and robotics. This is actually a mug Atlas designed and made as part of our manufacturing cohort last year, as a way to like illustrate design. The picture on the right is a tiny home that our building science cohort built last year. And I also have some really cool news to share that we were recently selected for a grant to build more tiny homes to expand this transitional housing program that we've been working with for a few years. So starting in December, recruiting in I think October and November, we're going to be hiring for something that we've been pushing for a long time, which is more pay for the folks in our programs and longer employment windows so that they could have not only more money in their pockets, but more work experience and more professional outcomes. So this is another picture of the like greenhouse we were framing and some of the steps. Also, like we did a tour of the capital of California. That's Atlas building a chicken coop. Um, how many more pictures do I have? Oh, I think you all might have had a chance to meet Alfred from Three Sisters Garden. We volunteered with them a bunch last year. I think this is him throwing a beat to Atlas. And then another thing I wanted to call out was the Terra Madres Festival. I think it's happening this week here in Sacramento, and Atlas was instrumental in getting us involved in that. And like one of the ways that I tried to respond was Atlas was saying like, "Hey, we should be a part of this thing." I was like, "Cool, set it up," and you could do that that week as part of your job rather than saying like, "Oh, take time off of your job, stop earning income to go volunteer to do something that's meaningful for you." So that's my job, is how do we create these systems that incentivize people to do the things that matter in their community. And it was like a really cool event, and there was really amazing food. I'm sure Atlas will tell you all about it. But yeah, happy to take any questions or expand, listen, whatever.
I have a question for Atlas.
Yeah, what's up?
Why did you get the golden ratio tattoo on you?
Um, because I'm an artist. It's not for math. I am not, despite being a scientist, I'm not particularly good at math. But it was sort of like understanding the balance between like the logistical, clear cut side of life and then like the sort of chaotic, swirling natural part, and just sort of trying to hold all of that balance like in my life. It was, yeah, the first tattoo I got when I turned 18. Um, but I actually wanted to ask Max a couple questions just to clarify more details about SSA. So how long do the SSA sessions usually last? Are students able to join if they're also currently in school? And what is the pay rate for a fellow that joins the program?
Yeah. So typically for high school students, are you all high school students or some of you like college age?
It's mostly high
Typically,
school. We have one or two college students.
typically for high school students, we hire for high school students during the summer. So school isn't an obstacle for you getting work and employment. I am pitching grants currently now to have more of like an after school time frame work experience. It just becomes more challenging because the windows of work shrink down. The program itself goes for 8 weeks, except for the version that we're launching in the winter. That'll be a 6 month program the first year, a 7th month program the second year, and a 8 month program the third year. So like that's the other thing that I'm actively pursuing, is how do we get more multi-year grants, so instead of us constantly chasing money for the next session, we can focus more on doing a really good job with the funding we have. And I think starting pay is $19 an hour for incoming fellows with like no work experience required. We also prioritize a lot of people who experience barriers to employment, whether it be like involvement in the justice system or um, unstable employment or a history of mental health challenges or current like issues with substance abuse. Like we try to prioritize those people because many areas of our economy you're at a natural disadvantage because of just your life experiences. So this is how we like counteract that and create these spaces for people to be and get real meaningful work experience and find out about the things they may want to do, as well as like give people jobs and money. Like um, to contextualize it, our first year from the summer of 2023 to the end of the summer of 2024, we put like a $500,000 directly into people's pockets with about 400K of that going directly into people's paychecks and about 100K of that going into wraparound services. So for me, who spent a lot of my career like paycheck to paycheck and not making what I thought I was worth, it feels really good to now be able to like create opportunities and to be able to like advocate to pay people more because I've been on the other end of like wanting to get paid more and understanding like, oh, sometimes it's not there in the budget, but like if I don't do the thing where I advocate on behalf of the people who we want in, like how am I really stepping up for them?
If does anybody have any questions real quick? Um, if not, I'm gonna take just like a minute or two to talk about what I got out of the program because I do think it's a really good experience for young people in the Sacramento area. I had never used power tools before. I did not know how to build things, and now I can confidently come up with an idea for something that I want to build and have the know-how to build it. One thing that SSP also does is something called the North Sacramento Free Tool Library. So if you have an idea for a project and you don't have the tools for it, you can rent them out for free, like a library. So it's like having a library card, but you can get power tools. So if you need a saw, if you need a drill, um, if you need a lawnmower, like it's a really great opportunity. And the free tool library also does free workshops once a month where you can learn how to use the tools or learn other things about SSP. And I think that's a really valuable thing. It's not just for people in North Sacramento. I also already had a background in agriculture, but it was really great to teach other people like how to grow their own food. So if you want to be a gardener or like learn how to use irrigation, I know water saving was mentioned. So that using irrigation, especially drip irrigation, is kind of the number one way that gardeners and food growers in California conserve water while still growing food. So I was able to expand on my irrigation skills, and we also installed something like 2,000 feet of irrigation across community gardens in Sacramento. There's also like a self-advocacy part to the job because at one point we went to City Hall and spoke to all of the council people and asked them to give us more funding, and it worked. So if people are interested in advocacy, that's also something that you can get out of SSP. It's a very diverse experience. Whether you want to be an entrepreneur, like there is full training that you can get on starting your own business, or if you want to work with like 3D design and modeling, you can also learn how to do that, and you have access to a 3D printer. There's so many different things about SSP that do make it really valuable, and I was able to meet a lot of community partners. So many of the nonprofits that I have worked with that are also doing amazing work, I met because SSP has like a network of all of these different orgs that they partner with. Like Safe Harbor, for example, they are a transitional housing community for homeless people. So if they need a place to stay, this amazing woman, Robin, she started this like little tiny home community in her backyard. So for families that are trying to transition out of homelessness, SSP helps with building the tiny homes there, helps with maintaining the community garden there. So it's definitely work that you can feel good about doing because you know that you're helping people and you're also like learning how other people are doing work to help others. So there's a lot of value to that. I sent the link to the SSP website in the chat. Before I move on, do we have any last minute questions?
I've got two more plugs. One of them is we also do have a STEM program we just launched this year. It's our like young women in STEM program designed to introduce girls to like not only career paths but skills around science and STEM. We did one of them this summer at Made Studios. So if you, and the way I like to say it is, even though it's for young ladies, we're not going to perpetuate the same pattern of discrimination. So we invite young men to apply too. And then the last part I wanted to mention is like, we like to support people's passions and interests. This is Atlas pitching their business as part of our entrepreneurship and design and manufacturing cohort last year. One of the things we're doing is actually bringing Atlas in as a private consultant to help do the project that they had pitched last year. So these are the kinds of things where the more passion you bring to the table in every aspect of your life, like the more people will resonate with it and try to find ways to support and encourage you. So if you've got some of that for me, bring it on. We've got something for you.
Yeah, if you have ideas about how to improve your community and you bring them to SSP, the first response is, okay, like, what do you need from me? It's kind of like, how can I help you make this happen? So I know a lot of folks here are really interested in starting initiatives in their communities. So SSP is a really good partner for that. Highly recommend. So we do have to move on to the next part of the session. Max, if I could request you stop sharing your screen so I could share mine. Firstly, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us all today. Community is such a huge aspect in fighting all of the horrible things that come with climate change and just like building resilient communities, both like relationally, but also actual climate resilience is really powerful when we like bring all that together. So we have to work together somehow. We can't do this stuff alone. So it's really great to see people that are dedicating their lives to working together to make change in their communities. So next up, we have a little poll for anybody can answer. It's specifically meant for the Young Climate Champions cohort, but any of our guests can also please feel free to answer the survey.
Oh, we've got a couple of Climate Corps in the call. I don't know if any of them want to share a bit about the program that they're a part of while folks are hitting the survey.
Yeah, if any of the Climate Corps folks want to take a minute or two just to like share a little bit about Climate Corps, you are welcome to. So everybody go to menti.com, menti.com. Oops. And then once you get there, there's a code it will ask you for, and it's right here. So the code is 55387014. I'll leave it up. And then as you are answering the survey, I will be able to pull up the answers as they're coming in. Climate Corps folks, if you want to share about Climate Corps, you are welcome to. If you don't want to, that's also totally fine.
I can go. All right. Hi everyone, I'm Vanessa. I'm kind of a part of Sierra Service Project. So I got placed there for my fellowship with Climate Action Corps. California Climate Action Corps is the full name. But it's in partnership with AmeriCorps, so I'm also a AmeriCorps member, and they place you in an organization. They place me in Sierra Service Project, where we work with community gardens and with community garden with members just for urban gardens to build them up or to maintain them. And there's like a lot of moving figures. Like we do data collection, we do professional development and with GIS, and it's just a really great opportunity. We get a lot of great benefits, and I'm really happy to be with Sierra Service Project because, as Atlas and Max mentioned, there's a lot of opportunities that I can receive, even though that's like not directly what I'm supposed to be doing. But Max has offered, like, oh, if you really want to do 3D printing, we can help you with that. So I've only started this week, so that's all I have. But I don't know if Yasmin or Diego want to chime in. That's okay. But yeah.
Hey everyone, I can chime in for sure. So California Climate Action Corps, like Vanessa said, is a branch of the AmeriCorps, but it's more focused on sustainability and climate action in California specifically. So we get partnered up with a host site in the state of California, and it ranges from like a team of 4 to a team of 1 person per host site. And fortunately, sorry, Vanessa, Yasmin, and there's one more fellow, and I can't find them in the chat, but there's a team of 4 of us at Sierra Service Project, and we in total our cohort of California Climate Action Corps 2025-2026 team is 400 people. So there is a lot of us throughout the state of California doing actual hands-on hands-on work to sort of drive this idea of there is power in people, and helping and being a volunteer isn't just, putting time aside. It's actual, work that you can see happen in real time. Sometimes people get discouraged of the type of work they're doing because change is, change is slow, and even small changes take time to happen. But with this program, it's a 11-month program, and so with this program, we're able to sort of build on our own ideas with Sierra Service Project, and hopefully see the fruits of it by the end. If not, like, you build the system for other people to thrive in. So but yeah, that's all I have to say for now. I know there's other things to go on
I will
before the
say
session ends.
also that it's a paid position. It's not just volunteering, and that for folks who complete the year of service, on top of their regular pay, they're given a $10,000 Siegel Award, which you can use at any education institution in California. So just to call her out in a little bit of kudos and praise, one of our Climate Corps fellows, Yasmin, did Climate Corps last year also, and is doing another service year this year, and is planning to go to grad school, and is going to take that, bank of 20K into school, and is going to have a huge impact on, the affordability of education, which is getting ever and ever more expensive.
Yeah, and if there's enough time, I'd love to speak real quick. Is there enough time, Atlas? Just
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so I think overall, Climate Corp is really great for really any person, like whatever career um, path they're kind of trying to go into in terms of environmentalism, whether that be wildfire resiliency, urban greening, zero waste initiatives. It's a great career, it's a great path for whatever career path you want to go in side environmentalism, and it really does it's helpful in the way that it really encourages building a career in whatever you're interested in. It's like Max said, it provides education funds for furthering your education, and like it provides you a good enough pay. You get benefits obviously from Medi-Cal, and we get food stamps and all that. So it's trying to do its best to really support a pathway in green in any sort of green jobs you're interested in. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, Climate Corps folks. I kind of wish that I did Climate Corps. It seems like a really great
Not too
opportunity.
late.
It really
Yeah,
is,
I suppose I could. I don't think my boss would be happy with me leaving Cal Center though. But yeah, something to consider for the future, definitely. Thank you to everyone that's answering the survey. We only have a few minutes left, so I'm just gonna skip ahead to the next question. This one should be quicker. And then I just have a few reminders for upcoming sessions.
I've got to go, y'all. I just wanted to say thanks again for having me. I really appreciate you giving me this platform, and I hope to hear from some of you to collaborate or, ways that we could support each other as we make our lives on this crazy spinning ball through space.
Thanks, Max. In the interest of time, I'm just going to skip to the final question. And then we will move on to the reminders for upcoming sessions. And this question is because we have an opportunity to have a Slack channel if y'all are interested in communicating on Slack. If not, then we can continue communicating over email. But we want to have as many options as possible so that we can communicate with each other. Okay, I'm gonna end the survey. Oops. Okay, so just some final reminders for the Young Climate Champions. Tomorrow is the pizza committee meeting. If you are not available to make it, that is totally okay. There will be free pizza, and Cal Center is launching a youth voter initiative, and joining the pizza committee is a way to get involved and help lead it. So we want this to be led by young people in Sacramento. There are thousands of unregistered young voters, and with the special election approaching in November, we are trying to raise awareness. For example, 16 and 17-year-olds in California can pre-register to vote so that when you turn 18, you are automatically registered to vote. So this voter initiative is trying to get as many people registered and pre-registered as possible. So if you want to be a part of that, then our first meeting is tomorrow. I sent the Eventbrite link out over email. Please feel free to message me if you have any questions about that. Next thing on our list here is the free book request form. As you all know, you all get one free environmental book of your choice. If you have not filled out the request form yet, please do it by September 29th. I think that's a great deal. Free book. You can have any free environmental book that you like. Of course, I did create a very long list of recommended reading to choose from, but it does not have to be from my recommended reading list. If you do not fill out the form by the 29th, unfortunately, you will not get a book. So if you want a free book, which I highly suggest you do, then fill the form out by the 29th. Next up, the art contest closes on the 10th. If you submit art to the art contest, you have a very high probability of winning. Not many people have submitted, so this is your chance. The prizes are an Apple Watch, first place, second place is AirPods, and third place is $100. So hey, that's free stuff. So highly recommend submitting to the art contest. And if you know any artists under the age of 26 that might be interested, please apply. If you want more information about the art contest, I can send you the link to our website, or you can check it on our Instagram. Field trip form is due by October 12th. If you cannot make it to the field trip, please let me know by October 12th. Once again, our field trip is to Seeds of Solidarity Farm in West Sacramento. It will be part tour and part volunteer day, so it is a great opportunity to learn a little bit about community gardening and get your hands dirty. Seeds of Solidarity Farm is awesome. They're run by NorCal Resist. They do a lot of mutual aid in Sacramento. So great opportunity to see what other organizations are doing to support their communities and potentially get inspired for initiatives that you might want to start. Final thing on the list, we're almost done, guys, I promise. Final thing on the list is there is a survey that I'm going to be sending you tomorrow, and it's like a climate survey to understand how young people feel about politics in Sacramento and beyond, how you feel about voting. So I don't have a due date for that yet, but in the email that I send you, there will be a due date for completing that survey. So keep an eye out for that email. And does anybody have any questions before we close? No?
Could you send the link for the art contest? That seems like something I'd be interested in.
Yes, I will send it in the chat right now, and then there in the reminder email I send later this week, I will send it again.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, folks? Okay, 1 second so I can get this link up. And then there was a question, somebody sent me a question in the chat, how many entries do you get? You can enter once for the art contest. Highly encourage you to let your friends know that they can do relatively little to get a pretty high payout. So check out the link for the art contest. Again, submissions close on October 10th. And with that, I will set you all free. Thank you for coming, and I will see you next month.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.